Hey guys, welcome back to our second podcast of JPL. Today we will be discussing about the book Taming the Shrew by William Shakespeare with your co-hosts Mel Bells,
Prawn Solo,
Dad.
and Princess. So guys, do you recommend this book?
Well, throughout reading Taming of the Shrew, I felt really bored. I did not like the plot, and I didn't attach to the book as well as I did with other books. It was really dull and sluggish. Well, if you don't like Shakespeare, then reading this book is a literal waste of time. It was such a hard read with the Shakespearean language and grammar, especially since the novel focuses a little more on gender equality and the role of a woman as just marriage. I was not able to connect with the book at all. Growing up in a society with the Women's March and the minimal acceptance of women in society, and having the novel oppose what I believe, made it difficult to read and something I never looked forward to. Reading this novel and trying to break it down and what Shakespeare was actually saying was difficult and something I don't really ever want to do again. The words and phrases he used have different meanings today, and since there were different ways to interpret the novel, the meanings caused with the infinite amount of points of views was hard. Taming of the Shrew was a book that changed scenes and ideas very quickly. Since I already could not understand the text, keeping up with the changing events made it a difficult read. Honestly, I hope I never have to read this book ever again, or even a Shakespeare novel ever again. It's not something I would enjoy to do. So basically, I don't recommend it. So Mel Bells, what do you think the main events of Taming of the Shrew are?
The Shrew started off as a play to trick a drunken man and for the pleasure of a king. As the play begins, a bunch of men compete for Bianca. However, Bianca cannot date until her older sister, Kate, gets married. Kate is portrayed as a spiteful woman, and people in the society look at her as though she is a witch. Bianca is the girl that everyone believes as the most prettiest and the icon of being a wife. The entire story depicts a plan where Petruchio and Lucentio trying to convince their lovers to be their wives, and as for Kate, she is being tamed by Petruchio, who tries to control her attitude and change her into an obedient wife. Through the end of the book, Petruchio completes his job of changing Kate to an obedient wife, while the story ends with Bianca appearing as the one who is a shrew. Well, basically, an obedient wife. Hey, Prawn Solo, can you tell us the themes and symbols of Taming the Shrew?
Well, I think a major theme in the book was that marriage was just as a show. Throughout reading the novel, it was more as a show than like the love of two people. In each chapter talking about the marriage of Kate and Petruchio, it was more of the benefit of the two individuals. Like you can see at the beginning of the book, the two people didn't really like each other or love each other, basically. They only got married so Petruchio could be rich and open the line for Bianca, Kate's younger sister, to be dating other men in the city. And then there was the love triangle between Bianca, Lucentio, and Hortensio, where Baptista was only willing to wed his daughter to the man who was richer. He did not care for the benefit of his daughter, but the amount of dowry that he would be able to receive from the marriage of Bianca. He did not care for the fact that Bianca was in love with Lucentio. If Hortensio had more money, then Lucentio would not be able to marry Bianca. And as you can see, the factor of money and respect in the society was more important than the happiness of Kate and Bianca and what kind of men they were going to get married to.
And the symbols?
Well, a really important symbol was Petruchio's wedding outfit. He wears this outfit to the wedding because he wants to humiliate Kate. And then you realize Kate doesn't really do anything. And you realize that the outfit is also to establish dominance over Kate and to prove that he's basically the head of the house. And as he enters the wedding room when Kate doesn't say anything, that's basically Petruchio establishing dominance over Kate before they were even married. This shows that the society was more of a patriarchal one, giving women no say of what happened in the society and the economy. So Mel Bells, what's another symbol?
Another symbol would be the dinner before leaving to Baptista's house. You can see here that Petruchio showed his dominance over Kate by not feeding her and making her understand that his word is like law in their household. In this scene, Kate and Petruchio are fighting about her behavior, and Petruchio gets upset. He says they won't go to Baptista's house unless Kate picks herself up and starts acting like a grown woman. This dominance shows that the society was a patriarchal one, giving men the say in what happens in the future of their social, economic, and political life.
Okay, so Dan Can, what do you think the sequel of the book's gonna be?
Well, if there was a sequel, I think it would be more about what happened to Kate and Patricio, Lucentio, and Bianca. We could see where their families go and the lives they live outside of Padua. I particularly want to see what Bianca is and if she has wedded or not. Also, I want to see how Baptista feels that now both of his daughters were wedded. Does Kate's relationship with Patricio last? Those are just some of the questions I would like to see answered if there was a sequel to the book.
So, Melbells, what do you think the message of the book is?
The message of the story is mainly about how women are supposed to be controlled and taught to be an obedient housewife. In the end of the book, Kate's monologue talked about how women are supposed to be loving their husband and never retaliating back at them. She said that they shouldn't fight back with their men because their man has done so much for them and should be given with respect. Another second message behind the book would be how the book, based on its cover and the storyline, everyone is supposed to think that Kate is a shrew because of her spiteful acts. But actually, Kate's exterior attitude might be portrayed as a malicious person, but I think her own acts when she's around men and other people is just because something happened in the past, maybe. However, I believe that the shrew of the story would be Bianca because in the end, she doesn't obey her husband, Lucentio. As for Kate, she's only a wife who obeys her husband. So, Danica, if you could be a character in the book, which one would you be?
So, if I could be a character, I would be Catherine because I want to see her thought process into suddenly changing her attitude and obeying Patricio because that seemed like the last thing she would do because it was so out of character for her. It was crazy. It blew my mind.
But what would you do?
Well, if I was Catherine, I would drop Patricio because I'm an independent woman who don't need no man.
Really?
Well, Dan, I find your input very, very valuable. I think that you chose a really good character.
So, Princess, how did you feel about the book?
I was never really a big fan of Shakespeare because it was really hard for me to understand and translate it to normal teenage language that I use every day. So Taming of the Shrew was the book I was having trouble reading and understanding. I think that when we watched the movie before we read the book, I got an idea of what it was like, but obviously because the book is different, I was still having trouble. Not gonna lie though, I would never read this book again because I hate Shakespeare.
Do you have any questions for the author?
A few questions I have for Shakespeare is, why did you make it so that Patricio and Kate's relationship begins to change at some point in the story? How come you made Bianca the sweet and perfect girl while making Kate seem like the girl that no one wants to marry? And in the end, why is the couple that most likely seemed like the one would be never get along the more happier couple?
Okay, so thank you guys so much for listening in today, and I hope you can comment down below on how you felt about the podcast or anything you would like to say. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope